Hello, welcome to the latest Goals I View. I'm joined by Chris.
Hi all.
And we're here to discuss another thrilling 0-0. I've had a few of them recently. What are your thoughts on the game, Chris?
I think in isolation, it's a good point. I think with kind of what we need at the moment, it's probably no use to us, is it? But
Course, yeah.
if you look at the game just in isolation, I think it's a good point. It's another team who were big and strong and came with not a massive amount of desire to play any football. But I think it's a game we would have lost earlier in the season when we had a bit of a softer underbelly. But I think we stood up to it well, even without kind of the main defender who's kind of able to lead us in that way for kind of 55 minutes. So when you look at it with 10 men for that amount of time, I think it's probably a decent point, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not a huge use to us, I don't think.
No, I agree. I mean, I've said a few times, I think the season's basically finished a couple of weeks ago. But yeah, I was surprised with Bromley. I know they're in a bit of bad form, but like Bournemouth, I'm just surprised that they just didn't try and win the game almost. They just had no quality at all. And they've got a good bunch of players there, but they were just poor.
Absolutely. I mean, I'm there's a part of me that's kind of a little bit upset at how poor a lot of these good sides are. Because when you think we've played over the last month, we played Wrexham, Boreham and now Bromley at home. And to be honest, you wouldn't describe all three of them as having any kind of quality. I think probably quality-wise, Halifax and Dagenham are the best two sides I've seen that play more. I wasn't at the Woking game. Yeah. But in terms of, playing football, I mean, Halifax destroyed us. I mean, the fact we nearly stole a point would have been, a daylight robbery, really. But yeah, I think that probably adds to the frustration for me as to where we are.
Yeah,
because
I agree.
I think just with a little bit of quality, with maybe a goal score, with a couple of more, I said a month ago, a couple of good additions now.
Yeah.
And I think we could have been, after the Wrexham game, then we could have been in with a real shout. But, 4 draws, 3 of which, at least 2 of them, but 3 you really want to be winning has kind of finished us off a bit, I think.
I think it gives me confidence if we're going to have this sort of summer window where we get the players we desperately need. There's nothing to be scared of. That there's so much money has been spent by teams, and I just don't fear anyone. Stockport now, possibly, but I mean, as we say, Wrexham, Bromley had nothing about them yesterday at all. It was actually a bit painful at times. I was like, we have 10 men.
It was.
And I was like, the Wrexham game is the most painful game of football I've ever watched. And Boreham, they clearly were out of their way not to play football. So, now Bromley, obviously the big talking point yesterday. But I think the talking performance was quite good. Like enough about Bromley, I thought we played some good football at the start, but again, just missing those chances. And then came the pivotal moment with the red cards. Now, I'm basing it on my view. I think it was a red, even though in reality it seems harsh. A, because he's gone down easily. B, when it's not, it sounds stupid, but when it's not like a really fast challenge, it's like you sort of think it's a bit harsh. Does that make sense? Because it's sort of happened in slow motion. I think when you've initially seen the red, you've gone, oh Christ.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a few things. I stand about on the halfway line on the pop side now. Yeah. It was pretty close to where I was. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting. My own personal view is I don't think it was a red card, but equally I can see why it was.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Because I mean, it was definitely a foul. That's the first thing. I mean, the bloke did go down easily, but I mean, the bloke backed into him, but then he got Lewis was too tight and he turned it. So it was definitely a foul. But his momentum and his body was taking him away from the goal, so it's not a clear goal scoring opportunity. But I was in touch with my sister last night, who's a qualified referee, and she kind of sent me a diagram of kind of the zones that kind of constitute a clear goal scoring opportunity, and it's within that. The other thing which she pointed out, because I sent her a still from the BT highlights, which is a very good point, is the still that as it happens, the referee's not in the picture.
No, it was awful yesterday as well. He was
30, 40 yards away. So I think, to be honest, my first instinct was he made the decision too quickly.
Yeah, I agree.
Because I think the best referees give themselves a minute to think, right, okay, what have I seen here? Where was he? And kind of, because of course, straight away their players jump at him and, everything that everyone does. But I think the decision was a bit quick. But I mean, I get why it was given. But I think in general, he was he wasn't great for us but I mean, I guess you say that. But I mean, unfortunately, the standard of the referees doesn't really come as a shock, particularly now, does it? Because it's the same every week.
It's a ref that I read has got 5 red cards in 8 games. I think after that red card decision, he was abysmal. Like, it was so... I think Bromley did about 3 blatant yellow card fouls, like pullbacks, whatever, and none of them... I think one of them might have been a free kick, but none of them were yellow cards. So he was horrific yesterday. Away from that incident.
Absolutely, and I think, and again, it's difficult because everyone's individual, aren't they? But it's just the inconsistencies. I mean, was it? I think it was it was a Barnet game. I think there were 8 yellow cards.
Yeah,
and there wasn't a bad tackling the whole game.
Yeah.
So you think, crikey, you 8 tackles. You know, you think would have been pretty feisty game. It wasn't really. So it's just disappointing. But I mean, I think it just adds to the squad issue, doesn't it? Really, because obviously with Little limping off as well. And Lewis, and obviously the injuries were already to Holman and Martin and Asa. That we were down to the bare bones before that. So when you got Felix coming on and being kind of the target man for the last 10 minutes, it kind of
see that set piece when they put him on the 6'7", 6'6" centre back.
Yeah,
that was one of the funniest things I've ever seen at Torquay this season.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I mean, again, without knowing the ins and outs of it, but it does appear that after the Solihull game, which is 6 weeks ago, Gary made a big thing after the game about how he's got to get better players in, and he owes it to the players that are here now, and all of that. And we haven't signed a player since then. So you don't go and say something like that without thinking that you need to do it. So there must be a reason why he's not doing it. So it's got to be financial, hasn't it?
I'll keep going back to financial. GLI probably gone, was what I'm hoping. GLI probably gone, right, no, you'll get your money at the end of the season with financial coming. I don't know. That's what I'm hoping. It kind of makes sense. And
I think. Yeah, I agree. And I think if you're the owners, if we were 3 or 4 points away, it's worth chucking some money at it because, a good run now. But I mean, even, obviously I don't seriously mean it, but even now, what is it, 13 games to go?
Yeah.
A team that wins from our position, that wins 5 games in a row now, will be in with a shout. But I think
I agree.
Our squad's not good enough for that.
No, that's the difference. I mean, and maybe even Johnson himself has gone, was it leave it tonight? I don't know. We don't know. We're just speculating. But I thought Torquay still battled really well yesterday. McDonald was absolutely superb. Winter deservedly man of the match. Omar was going to come on. Got a bit naive at times, but he's really improving. I say this a lot the last weeks. I can't fault them for their efforts at all.
No, absolutely. And I do genuinely believe that and the Boreham Wood game, there were games we would have lost earlier in the season because
I agree.
Physically we weren't strong enough, and of course players were a bit more inexperienced. But it's interesting about Omar because when I said to my dad at half time, he's got to come on. Because in that scenario when you've lost your big centre back, they've got big forwards up front. So you kind of had no choice, and obviously gave Little a few minutes and he couldn't do it. So he was good. Again, positionally he gets caught at times, but. Kind of Dan and I were talking coming away from the game about kind of players that you'd keep next season, and I think looking at it, we were from kind of him being a bit of a joke figure a few months ago. I think
I agree.
We kind of said, well, I think you probably would keep him because they've done a lot of work with him. I think Downsy's particularly done a lot of work with him, and who are you going to replace him with?
No, he's getting better.
Another player like that.
He's getting better. Exactly, he's a squad player. He really is keen to learn. Just his general sort of posture on the pitch has improved. I noticed him yesterday. And I kind of I would definitely keep him. And I love him, honestly. He just makes you have a smile on your face when he gets the ball. And he's decent on the ball as well.
He's the kind of guy, as a supporter, you want to do well.
Oh, so much.
Don't you? Because he clearly cares. And, physically, he's the kind of, if you look at every team we play, I mean, if you look at Bromley's 3 centre-backs, they have 3 blokes that size. So physically, if they can kind of, and then they are working on him positionally, but they've clearly given him a message of when it comes your way, head it and kick it. Which for a centre back in the National League is probably a good chunk of what you need to be able to do.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I think that's a pretty good summary. We've been last few weeks. I asked if we could be competitive against these teams, and we have been, and we still should have won it, even with 10 men. We should have won it yesterday.
I think the other thing as well is that we had chances before the red card. That's the frustration.
That Lapsy header at the back post, such a good move from Winter's ball in. That had to be a goal.
Absolutely. And Connor's header that was saved. Lemon Evans again, he had 2 really good opportunities to get shots off in and around the box, didn't he? And again, and it's those it's that kind of natural finisher thing, is it? Maybe it's that what's the famous phrase, fox in the box, where the ball drops and and the top teams have I mean, I've never seen Michael Cheek have a good game against us, I have to say, but. The ball drops in the box and puts it in the net, and that's what
we did last season.
I think that
was the difference.
And that's the frustration. Because if we had that, I think we would have won some of these games. We could have had a couple of goals yesterday. We would have finished Barnet off. We would have had enough to find a goal at Wealdstone, all that kind of stuff. And
I agree.
All margins that I think that we are kind of missing.
Yeah, and we're still playing the right football. Johnson's still doing his stuff on the training pitch. It shows it's still the game plans are still there. Everything's still there. It just needs more quality. But
and 3 of the next 4 games, very winnable. Kings Lynn away. Got to go there and win. Halifax will be a tough one, but then Aldershot and Weymouth at home. Well, there's got to be a good chance of 9 points in those 4 games.
I agree. And there's still games we should still have a good end to the season.
Yeah.
Since Weymouth away, we've been a decent team, so we've just got to keep that up, and it gives fans, people to go for it. It's a good crowd yesterday as well.
Yeah, it was, and we've lost one game this year.
Exactly.
We've doubled our draws in the last 4 games that we had the previous 20 odd games, but we've lost one game this year. So we're not getting beaten, but it's kind of not quite enough at the minute. But like I say, win a few games now, and you just never know, do you?
No. All right, cheers, Chris. I appreciate that. Thanks for watching this week's episode. We'll see you in the next one.